Budget for Board of Education. Can I get a motion?
There's no report provided.
Okay. Moving on. Town Manager's Report.
We're getting close to having our preliminary memo on capacity projections for the wastewater facility expansion complete. We had given deadlines to Pomfret and Brooklyn to give us an idea of what they'd like to see, if anything, in the expansion. We didn't hear anything. We did tell Brooklyn, if we didn't hear by a certain date, we would assume a certain number, and that's what we're going to have to do at this point. We're hoping that memo will be available for review by the WPCA at their meeting next week, and they can give feedback, and then we can start looking at more concrete solutions for the expansion portion of the project. I mentioned last week at our meeting that the WPCA did vote on an interim agreement with Frito. It's a 2-year agreement with 2 one-year extensions that was approved at their last meeting. However, there was a typo on Frito's part on the flow that they would give up, and it was an error in our favor. So it was the number we originally proposed, and we had settled on a little less than that, which was still decent. And when it came through, we asked, is this correct? They said yes. So we voted on it. And when it got to the final signatory, he said, wait a second, that's not the number. So we're going to have to vote on that again with the number we thought we had back in December. So we're going to do that next week as well. On the community center project, we're working through multiple punch lists with the construction manager, trying to get things resolved and wrapped up. It's a slow and agonizing process. The Permanent Building Commission's requested an executive session to meet with our council to see what things they have to live with, or whether there's other options to light a fire in them and get some things resolved. We are out to bid on phase 3, which is the heat and hot water distribution system for the first floor, and we should have bids back sometime next month. Regarding the PFAS issue in Rogers, I don't have much of an update. My monthly meeting with DEEP got postponed for a couple of days. I know we've had some more test results come in. Some have been positive, some have been negative. I think they're just continuing to work through their 4th round of testing. We are distributing test kits for the Department of Public Health. That was the meeting they had on April 8th, public hearing at the high school. It's a different test standard, and it's not tied to DEEP's testing program. Is not tied to DEEP's program to give them a filtration system. So, these are just test kits. The resident can perform the test and send it to UConn, and they'll get a test result as to whether there's PFAS in the water or not. And that's town-wide. So I think we've gotten out, maybe 40 or so of those kits so far, and they sent a second batch. So we'll continue to do that. Old Killenly Pond Dam, we've got an item on the agenda for that, so I'll leave that till then. And then we did get some correspondence on the access road. That's in your packet about the school asking us to take that on, and I guess we'll see if the budget passes tonight, and then we can revisit our approach to that project. Also, we did hire a replacement police officer, KV Sidhu. He's going to be going to the academy, so when he passes, I'll have him come in and introduce him to you. We also have a hire out there for a replacement wastewater superintendent that the WPCA voted on at their last meeting, and he should start later this month, and I'll share his name with you after that. That's all I have.
Dave?
As far as the sewer moratorium, you're still waiting for Brooklyn to come forward?
Well, we had a couple contract negotiation sessions. As I mentioned at the last meeting, they seemed really focused on getting the most out of the agreement that they currently have, rather than talking about how we can go forward in the future, or talking about mechanisms in our existing contracts so that things work differently when they exceed their flow. When they exceed their flow right now, it causes them to go over, but it's not technically a contract violation, and there's not a recourse for it. And we'd like to address that in the next contract. We haven't really made any progress on that. As I said, the last negotiating session focused on them getting everything they can under the current agreement. And
But so far, what I've heard, that the fire training facility didn't test positive for the PFAS, did it?
no, it didn't. No.
So that one is at least clear, because they thought that type of foam was what was causing.
Yeah, my understanding is the well that they have there is not even for potable water. I think it's just for training purposes as well, so,
Thank you.
yep.
Getting back to Brooklyn, when is their current contract expire for the sewer?
December of '27,
Okay.
so there's some time. There's some time to work this out, to keep talking. It really, I mean, they were pushing to start the negotiations, and then we started the negotiations, and then they kind of backed off. Didn't seem like they wanted to talk. So, I mean, we may just table things for a while.
So how much over their flow commitment are they?
You know, there's been years where they're not over. If you look, Dave can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we looked at the last 6 years, and maybe they were over 50% of those years. Sometimes it's been over by 10,000 gallons for the year. Sometimes it's over much more, over significantly. In other years, it's under. It depends on the rainfall, because their exceedances are driven by their I&I issues. So when it rains a lot and they get extra flow into their pipes that are wide open, we have to deal with that. So there's the solution, which is probably too expensive for them to do, is to do the I&I work and seal up those pipes. But it's a sewer system with only 600 users. So doing a multi-million-dollar project and then passing the cost of that on to their users is probably not financially viable.
But other facilities, when they go over, don't they have something in their contract to charge them more?
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at other intermunicipal agreements. For instance, Norwich has intermunicipal agreements where they charge $13 a gallon for every gallon that goes over. So, I mean, there's mechanisms out there for doing this. There's other ways to measure, you know, what your flow can be. You can take an average of a certain period of time. You know, so right now it's measured by the year, so they could go over for a couple weeks, and then they could be back to normal.
But don't they have quite a few projects in mind to move forward, and they can't because they can't tie into the sewer?
Well, they have a couple small projects that they've requested approval on. They had the project at Tiffany Mills, which I think was originally 300 units, and my understanding now it's down to 200 units. And
Thank you.
in the last meeting, they said they really didn't have much else in the pipeline, which is maybe why we can't get a future flow number from them. So,
Was there any discussion about moving their meetings here?
no, I don't think they took that up at their last meeting.
Thank you.
Any other comments for the town manager in his report? Okay, we'll move on. Unfinished business for town council action, none. New business. Item 15A, consideration and possible action on resolution related to Department of Energy and Environmental Protection dam safety repair permit at Old Kelly Pond. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. I guess we'll bring up the resolution.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to summarize?
Sure, you
the-
can go. Yeah,
the
sure.
resolution? So 3 of the council members requested this agenda item, so we drafted a resolution. It was kind of prompted by some anonymous emails we got about requesting a resolution that the town take certain actions with respect to what's going on with the permit application and the activity of WISH and hiring a third-party review and so on. So I think at a high level, the resolution does four things: takes a position, the town to DEEP, that we'd like to see the dam properly repaired and the water level return to normal. It requests DEEP to require WISH to pay for a third-party review, technical review, to evaluate the merits of their application. And it also asks DEEP to reconsider acquiring the dam and surrounding property and to integrate it into the other state-owned land that's on the dam. And lastly, it puts the Wetlands Commission as the lead agency for the town, interacting with DEEP, since they're the most relevant regulatory body we have that would relate to this topic.
Go ahead.
So under the resolution, would the town be spending any money?
We would be spending a little bit of staff time as needed, to
When I
coordinate.
read the original a couple weeks ago, if they were going to have a public hearing, the town would be the one that had to pay for the posting, correct?
That may have been a suggestion at some point over the last couple months that the town host a hearing. I don't remember which conversation that occurred in, but as part of this permit process, DEEP would hold the hearing. I believe the owner is required to pay for the notices. DEEP might ask us at that point if they can hold the hearing here, which is fine. If that's what they want to do, it makes sense.
Thank you.
That,
Rula, go ahead.
that hearing, was the designation from the GA to the GAA, not this resolution. I think the town council should, support this resolution. It doesn't bind the town to anything, it just shows that we're supporting the community. Old Killingly Pond, doesn't only serve the residents in that area, it's an important water source for the whole town. There already have been some wells that have been impacted by it. We don't know if it's direct impact, but there have been several wells that have had problems and some wells that are dry. And even though these are man-made reservoirs from the industrial time, we have become dependent on it because there was no population back then. And now this is a great water source for everybody. Clean water, wildlife, everything is all interconnected. And the long-term impacts, we're already seeing the short-term impacts, but we don't know what the long-term impacts be, and they can be quite devastating. And once the water is gone, it's gone. So I think we should all support this resolution.
Any other comments?
I would just agree with what Ula said. This is just, to me, this is a pretty easy resolution to stand behind and approve, in my opinion.
Anyone else?
I agree with this resolution. Puts us in a good point to at least take a stand and say that, you know, this is important to our town and important to our people. We need to protect this.
I can support part of it. There's something here, how do I, wait a minute. Most of item 1, the first part of item 1, the Killenly Town Council hereby supports the repair of Old Killenly Pond Dam and urges DEEP to advance a regulatory process under its statutory authority that prioritizes the safe repair and long-term maintenance of the dam to restore the pond's water levels in preference over alternatives such as permanent drawdown or removal. I could go along with that, but the next sentence, the Killenly Town Council encourages DEP to use the third-party review to evaluate the technical merits of WISH's proposed actions if appropriate. I don't think we are in a position to do that. At this point in time, DEEP, it's private property, So Deep is in the driver's seat. That's just my opinion. And I'm not sure, to throw this in the inland wetlands scenario, I don't know if that's in our best interest. I think it's, you know, the action that we have is through the town manager's office. But that's my view. Any other comments?
I believe that we do need a third-party review because it would be Wish that is having a review, so we also need an independent person, not on their behalf, for the review. And in regards to the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission, as a designated lead agency, they're the best experts in our town in regards to the water and its quality and safety, so that would be appropriate as opposed to bringing it to the town manager.
Any other comments?
Who would be funding the third-party review? Would that be us?
Have they agreed with that?
Any other comments?
Can we go off script for a moment?
No,
Can we go
this
off
is,
script?
this is just up here.
I'd like to make the motion for a public, to be able
Ex-
to speak in regards to this.
So you're saying suspend the rules to allow, you need a
Yes.
motion to do that? If you're making the motion, I'll second it.
So have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're going to suspend the rules. I don't know how the best way to do this, but I guess, come on up to the podium.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you for that. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what you guys were discussing. The inlands and wetlands, it's a lot for that committee to jump into, especially with the distribution centers and warehouses going on. We're getting attacked by all different angles. So why doesn't, this is my suggestion, my opinion, why don't we make a volunteer committee of people like myself and other concerned residents who have a hand in this, where we can help assist inlands and wetlands, so the burden isn't just on them. I'm not sure the technicalities of how you create these little committees, but I mean, we're sitting here and we want to help. I've done 7 months worth of 6 hours a night between me and my wife raising our kids and doing this research. I've talked to Harold Kahn at Wish. I've called the Governor Lamont. I've talked to everybody under the sun. I'm pretty educated when it comes to these things, so I'd love to be able to contribute and help and not feel like my mouth is taped. So I feel like the best course of action, in our opinion, my opinion, is to maybe start a committee to help relieve and help educate inside of the town and not just the externals. But that's just my 2 cents to it. But anybody else? Thank you guys for suspending the rules.
Anyone else?
Okay, my foot's asleep. But that's okay. Yes, my foot needs to wake up. I think the resolution is a good one. The issue about the third party, since it's only a recommendation, it's advisory in any case. DEEP will not use a third party if they don't have the internal capabilities to do this work. And they normally do have that capability. However, the fact that it's put in there will just show that the community is concerned about the reliability of relying entirely upon Wish's assessment of the situation. And that won't make any difference as to whether they actually do a third-party review, but it emphasizes the importance that this issue has to the community, and that they need to take a hard look. So whether or not they take that third-party review, which they could do, especially if there's something that goes beyond what the departments are currently doing, because of the enormous 50% reduction in staff that happened during the last 2 years, then they're capable of doing it, but they don't have to do it. So I don't think it's a problem to have that particular language in there. Justin's suggestion of having a subcommittee of individuals that are assigned to this to support the Inland Wetland and Watercourse Commission is fine. That would be a decision on the part of the council. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just second the point around the third-party review. I think there's certainly can be a little conflict of interest at times with the not having that coming from the company, and you know, I know there's not supposed to be, but sometimes, you know, depending on who's you know paying your bills is impactful. I think Deep, again, they have managed a lot of different dams themselves. My understanding is the state senator and speaking with them indicated that they do have some capacity around assessing costs, and so I think this is well within their capabilities. Whether or not, you know, comes down to their staff availability is another question, but I think it's a worthy point, and again, whether or not it goes forward, I think it's important to it puts the point forward that we're really needing credible numbers in terms of, you know, issues associated with it, along with potential repair costs, and I also very much like the portion about encouraging the state of Connecticut to take it on if they're, you know, so willing. Thanks.
I just wanted to talk about what Justin said. I think.
Could you state your name and
Yeah,
just
Dave Miziazik, 90 Cutler Road, Davie, Connecticut. I feel like we come to these meetings and a lot of times we have a comment, but we don't get a conversation. So a committee would be more of a spot where we could have a conversation with the people of the town council, hopefully. So I think a committee is a great idea. Just my opinion.
Al Dufresne, 148 Dam Road, Pond Road, Dayville. Yeah, I came in front of the town council over the course of several years in the past in regards to the same exact thing we're going over right now. And it was in regards to the 5 ponds and trying to get the Deep to take on the properties. And Jonathan Anderson asked Mary Calero to look into it. And supposedly, I did a follow-up on that at the town council meeting. It's all on the minutes. And she didn't do that. You know, nothing happened. And then I did a follow-up on the follow-up. Nothing happened. So this isn't the first time this issue's been here. We've been here before. You know, I was doing, talking about the brownfield on, you know, on Bailey Hill. I was discussing that too in the past. So this is not a new issue here. This thing's been kicked down the road quite a while. So just wanted to point that out, that's all. Thank you.
anyone else? Come on up.
Ida Barris, 1123 North Road. I'll make this really short and sweet and very sincere. Just like you, Ida. Please pass this. Please, 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 please. Everybody out there, please. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jared Brong. I live at 14 Robert Ave in Danielson. This is my second time coming to a meeting at the town hall, or third time. This issue is extremely important, not just to the people in this room, but to people around the town. There's 17,000 and change people that live in this town. It is the most active topic on social media. The algorithm pushes it locally. I'm sure you're all well aware of that. I support Justin in his idea to bring forward a committee where people can actually discuss this. We need more manpower. Studying takes a long time. Research takes a long time. We're limited on that. Inland and wetlands is obviously very busy with the other projects that are going on here in town. I think that that would be extremely helpful, and I also think that this resolution should pass, obviously. Thank you.
Any other further comment? Hearing, are there any other council comments? Dave?
Yeah, before we have another committee, it'd be nice to know what inland wetlands thinks. Can they handle it? Do they need a group? We've never even asked them to come forward yet. That's my opinion.
I think the group in front of you has the most passion to take it on, though. If we can form another committee, I agree with them.
I would like to try to pass this tonight, and then if the inland wetland waterlands can, the committee, they could submit a committee or talk to inland wetlands and have the committee go through them, since inland wetlands is gonna know more of the water stuff possibly than we do. So if they had a committee that reported to them, and then wetlands could report to us, that might keep it cleaner, and so they could report to the town manager as well.
Ed, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Just because, I'm into procedure. We could amend this to drop, I guess it's 3 through 6 for now. Okay, that's all the stuff about the Inlands and Wetlands Commission becoming the go-to group for this. Drop that out of the resolution by amendment. Contact Inland and Wetlands, see if they want to do it. If not, we can create another resolution enabling a commission or a committee. It would be in the same vein as the Vision Committee. It would be a temporary committee, and then the council would appoint members to that and give them these powers that are listed in 3 through 6. Just my suggestion, so we're not,
Would you like to make an amended motion to that
I'll
effect?
move to amend the resolution as follows. Striking paragraph 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Can I say something?
Oh, 1 second, ma'am. From the resolution, so that the rest of the resolution as proposed is accepted tonight.
Do I have a second?
I'd second that.
Further discussion? Council
How,
members, just,
how long would it take to do all this? Because we don't want to have to go, next month to bring a proposal, and then the following month to have it approved. Brian, any suggestions to?
Well, we did consult with the chair of the Wetlands Commission when we were putting this resolution together, and at least, she can't commit the rest of the members to their willingness to take it on. She acknowledged that this does fall within their purview to be the lead agency on behalf of the town for. So they were advised that as a group, we did communicate with them to let them know we're considering this resolution tonight.
so we could make this an agenda item for their next meeting. If they want to officially take this on, then we could have it on our agenda to add it back on.
Well, I think they're prepared to take it on. I mean, whether they want to or not, or whether they're busy or not, we don't get a choice in those things. They are the agency of jurisdiction that would deal with this matter on behalf of the town. To the extent that we have an agency of jurisdiction, the Inland Wetlands Commission would be it, and they have the authority to interact with the state on these issues. I don't have that authority. Another committee that we set up is not going to have that authority. The Inland Wetlands Agency, by statute, has that authority.
Well, that's why I agree with Jonathan.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think
if
we
you
want to
wanna-
go,
if you
with- I
wanna
think we
create a
got to agree.
Subcommittee to the inland wetlands to advise them, that's fine.
But I mean,
You
we
know,
get
that's
part of
different
this
than
going,
What they're
get,
charged to
get
do.
the initial part of it going, and then we can amend it down the road.
I wasn't aware that the IWWC was consulted about it, so since, I mean, they're okay with it essentially, and you were,
They haven't met as a group to vote on it, right?
All right.
Because we're outside of the public meeting, but we did talk to the chair about it. We did consult with the chair about it. She understood the reason why it would come before them, and we did advise the rest of the commission that this was something that we would be acting on at the council meeting tonight to place this in their court.
all right, in that case, I'm going to withdraw my motion because I think having the IWWC being officially the folks who communicate with DEP and other bodies is important, but I would still support at a future meeting, once a resolution is drafted appropriately, to have some sort of subcommittee, commission, I'm not sure what the word is right now, of citizens and maybe some counselors that can be at least advisory to the IWWC. So I'm going to withdraw my motion to amend the main motion.
Okay. Any other comments?
I did talk to the chairman today. She was aware of this and she was on board.
Just, is that commission fully staffed? Does it have all its members plus its,
It has all its regular members. I think there's an alternate position open.
just?
Oh, it's all filled? All right, thank you, it's all filled, sorry.
Alright.
So we can just approve the motion as is and then, talk to the inland wetlands water course and as Jonathan, Cicilline had said, and then if we needed a subcommittee, but not to hold this resolution up.
Oh, yeah, I think passing the resolution tonight's the best move. But I do agree having some subcommittee beyond this of citizens, of concerned citizens would be helpful going forward as well.
Since the topic is open, anybody from the public want to speak? Go ahead.
Hi, Cynthia DeMeo at Green Hollow Road. There's nothing that's stopping us from forming a committee now amongst ourselves. Share information, maybe help out each other out.
Yeah, I'll link up with you after.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for opening it up for us to have dialogue back and forth.
I also appreciate that.
So back to commission members, any comments?
Ready to vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda. Consideration and possible action on proposed solid waste transfer station fee schedule. Okay, motion by Dave, we got a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion.
So this was, the only change here is to create a fee tier for veterans. And this was discussed and proposed by the town council subcommittee for solid waste. And they voted to bring this forward to create the fee tier for veterans at $40, which is the same rate that a senior citizen would pay. Otherwise, the fee schedule remains unchanged.
That was for all of that.
Yes.
Any comments?
To kind of add to that, I believe we had, before the elections, we had actually tossed around that as an option, and then when we reset the new members, they were all in favor of, also of offering our veterans the reduced fee, so.
Any further discussion?
I will say, I mean, particularly if they have the ability to take their trash to the transfer station, there probably would be a considerable savings for a family, a household, at $40 a year to take your trash, and, depending on how many bags you need, I mean, I know my mother's trash for the year is somewhere around 600. So I mean, this could feasibly save a household several $100s. So, which would be, every dollar counts.
Right now, what does it cost a family, 80?
A regular pass
Yep.
right now is 95.
So 40 is a big savings.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Update and overview regarding Brickyard Improvement Project.
So this is a project that's been in the works for a few years. We received $1 million grant, I think, in 2022, and then the borough appropriated some of their remainder of their COVID money, called ARPA funds, towards this project, and it involves some public art and some changes to the area at the end of Main Street, and we are getting ready to proceed with this project. We're waiting on approval from the state to proceed, but we just wanted to go over the parameters again in the schedule and answer any questions as a refresher before we get into it. So the town engineer and the economic development director are here tonight to do that.
Good evening all. Thank you for the introduction, Brian. Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Need to turn down the gain. That's better, I think.
That one's still on, sure.
There we go. That's better. We can share the microphone. As Brian had indicated, this project is initiated several years ago. We finally received authorization to go out to bid with it, which we did. We received one. Speak up? I can speak up, but I'm trying to avoid that. Is that one on?
Yes.
First off, is the podium off?
Is that better?
There you go.
That's better. Thank you, Ashley. We did go out to bid. We received a bid from Mattern Construction for the base bid of just under $913,000. The estimate was just under $990,000, so it came in a little below that. And we had 4 alternates for different parts of the project. The base bid is shown on the screen above you or behind you to the side. Basically, it consists of parking lot improvements, sidewalks, some addition of handicap spaces, handicap parking, and some work in the what used to be the Foundry building site. Take my glasses off, maybe? I don't know. And there are some plantings in the base bid. There is enough money in the grant amount to award alternate 1, which is some continued plantings and improvements to the Foundry building lot. again, for some plantings and some pavers and kind of a picnic area or what potentially could be an art park. I don't know if, Jill, would you like to continue to add?
Sure. We had to take down a couple trees in that area because they were overgrown, they were dropping limbs. So we're going to focus heavily on doing some heat calming urban plantings that are to scale for downtown, create some softscapes. There'll be canopy lighting in that back. I don't know if you know where 140 Main Street is, that back building. So it was the #1 priority for the Economic Development Commission back in 2021, coming off of COVID, on how to activate the downtown and give us space that was conducive to promote the downtown. We have a beautiful park at Davis Park, but this would, in theory, whatever's going on inside the buildings, the hope is that it spills out into the community and vice versa and creates a nice walkable downtown. It'll have Wi-Fi improvements. Right now we have ADA parking spaces behind the building, but there's not a clear pathway to get on the sidewalks or the entrance of the buildings. There's stairs. So it just is going to improve accessibility and the aesthetic and be conducive for programming. And the hope is that it'll be both public and private programming so that it really activates our downtown. The Phase 2 part of the project, we have all the schematic designs for that, is in that small green space that the town purchased with that parking lot over on the left side. So we'll get that readied for future development, but we don't want to create a space and not activate it fully because then it could become blighted. So we want to make sure that we focus on the businesses, or not so much the businesses, the activity that's conducive to the buildings. And there's an easy pathway to understand. At the front on Main Street, there'll be wayfinding signs that you've arrived at the place. It's called Brickyard Plaza. It was originally just a placeholder because all the facades were brick. But then we learned that there was a lot of history about brick making on Athol Street, and it kind of gained traction of our industrial roots and our love for the outdoor spaces. So that's where we are right now. We had done an 824 review back in 2022. We had to hit pause on this project because of the drainage system with the box culverts, so there was a series of delays there. But we're ready to go, and we have a contractor that has capacity and does beautiful work, so we're very excited to get started. Our next steps, once that contract has been awarded, is that we'll have a meeting with the subcontractors, we'll learn about the workflow, and then once we have that established calendar, we'll go back to the stakeholders and make sure they're aware of what's going on, if there's any pain points, what they can anticipate, and just keep that line of communication open. It's anticipated that the work will last in one season. We should get the paving done, hopefully by November when the plants close, but the bulk of the work will be done in one season, so it won't be so disruptive. It's going to be disruptive for a short period of time, but ultimately I think it'll be a maximum benefit for everyone.
So I understand it'll have a sound system?
Wi-Fi, like Wi-Fi improvements, high-speed Wi-Fi, and lights, but there's no sound system.
Was there any anticipation of renting it out for various groups?
Right now it's would be under the public Parks and Rec for facilities. When they'd have to have an application and go through and notify the police and make sure there's insurance. So it would be part of that protocol. Whenever we hold events there, it's the same protocol as if someone was renting a park.
Because I'd like to see the facility at Owen Bell being able to be used by groups too. I know the baseball field is there and they use it pretty much all the time, but it would be nice to be able to bring more into the Killingly for everyone's enjoyment. Thank you.
bid program and remainder ARPA funds. So we're gonna have sufficient ARPA funds to cover that paving? And this year it might be a little tough.
Apparently, I'm the feedback king of the evening here. When we originally bid this and designed it, the intent was to pave all the parking lots from in front of the courthouse all the way to Main Street and all the way down to the Imperial Room. I have no idea what the price of asphalt is going to be in the coming months. It's changing as we speak. Provided we have enough money left over, the intent is to pave everything curb to curb from Cottage Street to Center Street to School Street. And, but if we have to scale back, we will. But currently, there is enough. Time will tell if that remains so. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I gotta throw that out a little bit. I mean, given, we can live with, the major emphasis is gonna be School Street and, I can't think of the side street opposite.
Center Street?
Center Street.
Yeah.
That's where the emphasis is gonna be.
The intent is to do as much as we can, but obviously, I think from the Main Street entrance all the way to the, across from the courthouse is probably the most important. It seems the most use. But we'll do as much as we can with whatever the funding allows. And as Jill indicated, the contract for the base bid and the alternate is supposed to be completed by middle of October. So that should leave us enough time. We've already contacted and been in touch with the state bid contractor for the paving, so he's aware of this and it's on our schedule, but we're still waiting for authorization from DECD to award. Hopefully that doesn't take too much longer.
Is there gonna be much disruption to activities, the access that, because when you come in, if you come in off Main Street, that's one way going out. So going out, you either have to go to School Street or to Furnace Street. And I guess whatever it is, whatever disruption, we'll just have to deal with it.
Clearly, there's a lot of sidewalks, curbing and stuff like that, so most of the work will be on the sides. The intent is to have access to the parking lot and to the business, but clearly there will be some obstructions and delays. We'll try to minimize it to the best of our abilities, but it would be wrong of me to indicate there would be no impact.
No, there's gonna, well, that's, right. It's stated there's gonna be some impact, that's all because
Yes.
some people, well, I'm impacted, well, we need to have an impact to get this done. So I'd rather have it stated kind of in this forum that there will be a little bit of a disruption and.
Yeah. And as Jill had indicated, there have been meetings with the stakeholders, the business owners, so they're aware of the project coming. And we'll certainly keep them updated as we proceed.
Jill, isn't there some public art or sculpture or something that's already been ordered? It's
Sure.
being made, or do we have it?
Sure. I guess it was 18 months ago, as we're going through the process, we had a discussion with our funding partner that because of the sculptures are being made out of aluminum alloy, and they were going to be impacted by the tariff costs. So we had a discussion with the state and asked them if we could go ahead and order those materials. So we took it out of the town council allotted some of our economic development trust fund money for this to put it towards the project. And they gave us approval if it came out of that pot of money, so we didn't have to go through the procurement process through the state as one big project, if that makes sense. We weren't ready because of the box culvert. So we had that, and we were able to get that under contract, so otherwise it would have escalated the cost on that public art by 25%. So they were willing to work with us, and so they're underway. So the light construction, you'll see right where the parking spot is, there's it looks like a fountain, but that's where the public sculpture will be. And then at the beginning of Main Street, there's two sculptures that are going to be lit. They have gears, kind of, I think some of you have seen them, paying homage to our industrial roots, but it'll be marked Brickyard. Oh, sorry. So if someone says, you know, there's an event at the Brickyard, they know exactly where they're going, as opposed to, oh, it's in the municipal parking lot. Well, which one, right? Back there, we have 190 parking spots and several entrances, but now people will know where the event's being held.
Any other council comments? Yes, that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next up, D. Follow-up, next steps regarding Killingly Intermediate School roof improvements and renovations. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
There actually is there is a suggested motion at the end of the memo to recommend the town council adopt the approach that I was going to review with them under this item. I don't know if that was on the other motion sheet or if you missed it. But we can go through it and you can decide, or you can make the motion now and then I can go through it and you can discuss and decide however you want to do. But just to recap, we had a discussion, I think, back in February when our liaison and the superintendent were here for maybe they were here to give an update on their budget or their regular report. And at the time, we had received a letter from the Board of Education asking us to address some issues at KIS in relation to their roof, which has been an ongoing issue, I think, from the time that it was installed. It's been repaired in various ways over the past 20 years or more, and they had identified it as a need in their capital improvement plan, I think around 2020 or 2021. In 2022, they had done a structural evaluation which identified structural issues and had suggested that they do some further design work to evaluate how that can be addressed before they do a roof replacement. And then, you know, in relation to that, the facilities director had identified a need to do a study to look at, you know, any other issues that may need to be addressed to support continuing to use it as a school in order to pave the way to go to the State Department of Education to receive state building grants to get reimbursed for some of these costs, whether it's just the roof or other structural items that need to be addressed. So just taking a step back from the urgency of the roof issue, it makes sense to go back and do that study, which is what he wanted to do to begin with. They had earmarked $50,000 in their non-lapsing account to do that, and it may take more than $50,000 to do that whole study at this point. I know no one wants to do another study and spend the money on that, but the reimbursement from the state for a building improvement, significant, 70%, can be 70% of the cost or more. So I think it is worth it to go back and do that study. They had asked us to earmark $50,000 in our capital program because they said they didn't have any money. Turns out they do have money earmarked in their non-lapsing account for that work. It may need to be more than $50,000. We still have to do an RFP and get estimates, and so if they need more money, we had set money aside during our budget process for the same thing. So they had asked for an update on this, and I would suggest, you know, we endorse this approach of having them go through the procurement process to do the study. We can give them some aid in terms of putting together the scope of work, and then they can identify a contractor and go through that process and have the Board of Education or their facilities director guide the oversight of that project. And when it comes back, we apply to the State Department of Education. They can you know, do their due diligence and qualify us for a certain amount of money, and we can go ask the voters for it if that's what we decide to do.
Where's the Permanent Building Commission involved in all this?
The Permanent Building Commission would be involved after the public vote. So once the money's authorized, we would turn the project over to them. They would be responsible for bidding it.
All right.
Essentially, the study, basically, essentially soft cost, how much money are we looking to allocate for this?
So they had originally asked us for 50, and we set aside 50. And that was before they had started to do some due diligence in terms of putting together the scope of work for the study. And then when we saw the accounting for the non-lapsing account, we realized that they had also set aside 50. They had spent maybe 1,000 of it over the past couple of years. So I think between their 50 and our 50,
We get like $100,000.
we should have enough.
Okay, and these reports could turn around to getting millions from the state to do this work, essentially, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You were gonna-
I was just gonna say that the Board of Education needs to do their due diligence and, start with the new study and not pass all the costs on to the town, because they've been kicking it down the road for 4 years.
I had drove by there, I don't remember, maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and from Maple Street, when you look towards the school, that roof that faces the road, it looked to me like there was missing shingles up on the top of it, so I know Board of Ed maintenance people can't go all the way up there to replace shingles, but it should be something done so we could, before we have heavy rain and snow again this year, to be seeping into the structure that's already weakened.
I'd like to have a pause in the meeting to get the results of the referendum. Second?
Second if you
All
need a
in
motion.
favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we can suspend the meeting to
Okay, on the town budget, we had 581 yeses and 535 nos. So it looks like that budget passed. On the Board of Education budget, we had 555 yeses and 565 nos. So it looks like that fails. Town budget, 581 yes, 535 noes. Board of Education budget, 555 yes, 564 noes.
So based on that, the town budget passed and the Board of Ed budget failed. Okay, we'll proceed back to our regular meeting. So the what kind of a motion are we gonna make tonight? What do we?
Yeah, I don't.
Or we're not making a spending motion, we're doing maybe
Yeah, we're not making really a spending motion. And really, I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to make any motion. You had asked me to include this as an update.
Yep.
At the same time, I got a letter from the Board of Education asking for an update. And at the last discussion, back in February, there seemed to be confusion about who should be doing what. And they wanted us to be taking this on. And they're just not at the point in the process yet where this is something that gets turned over to the town. They need to do their due diligence, have the study done, do the pre-qualification work with the Board of Education. Then that comes back to us. We decide if and when we want to do some of those improvements. whatever are identified, we might decide to do all of them, we might pare it back, then we have to make a decision to send that to the voters for approval. And
Okay,
then,
so we're-
once it's approved by the voters, we would turn it over to the Permanent Building Commission to implement it. So I was suggesting if you wanted to, you could make a motion to let the Board of Education know that this is the approach that we need to take. You don't have to do that.
I would be in favor of making the motion as recommended here. It seems like the Board Ed needs some guidance, and I think the way this proposal is put forward, it gives them point by point by point on what they need to do and what they need to provide in order for this project to get going. I agree that we definitely need to do something. They already have water issues, which means if you're probably losing structural integrity of the wood that is there, that's probably already weakened anyways. So we definitely need to get moving on that before we have a roof collapse, and that would be pretty devastating. So I'm gonna make the motion to endorse the recommendation approach outlined in the May 7th, 2026 memorandum, and request that the Board of Education approve funding for and issue a request for proposals for a professional comprehensive evaluation of Killingley Intermediate School, including but not limited to structural integrity with focus on the roof, mechanical systems, hazardous materials, fire, life safety systems, building envelope, ADA accessibility, site conditions, and educational adequacy.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next up, let's see, we gotta cross off this. The consideration, okay. Can I get a motion to approve the requested amount from the opioid settlement funds for task force to Northeast District Department of Health?
I'll make that motion.
Discussion.
Can we allow the town manager to give us a overview?
Yeah, I think a couple meetings ago, you had a presentation from NDDH about this opioid task force that Council of Governments asked them to form to do some surveillance and other education, prevention type work with the community, the communities that they represent in the region. And they were looking for financial support from the town from our opioid settlement funds. They never made a firm request. Subsequent to that presentation, I communicated with their director about what he was looking for, and really, didn't give me a solid number. So we looked at, what if we did what if we applied the per capita formula to the cost of this endeavor? And if we did use that formula, that would look like $18,000 from the town of Killingley. We have $29,000, I believe, in new opioid settlement funds that are available. And, if you choose to do this, we would provide the funding from that source. It's my understanding that not many other towns have decided to give them any money towards this, maybe one or two that Mr. Griffiths mentioned to me. So, there's not a guarantee that the other towns are going to fund it.
Willa?
I don't agree with giving them our opioid funding. Many of the programs that he talked about were overlapping, and also a lot of it was based on studies, spending the money on studies. We've had plenty of studies, and then the outcome would be to decrease the deaths. I don't know I can't remember the percentage, which would be like the actual deaths due to opioids was very low, so it would come out to like, I don't have the exact number, like a quarter of a person, so none of the calculations made any sense to me. We already have duplication of these programs, and I would prefer to keep the opioid settlement money in the town for other asks.
And I would tend to agree, because the last time I talked to the director, only 2 of the other towns out of 12 have committed any money. And I also talked to the other regular member for the board, and she did not support it either.
Any other comments? Tammy?
I mean, any opportunity we have to address and have a discussion about opioid and substance abuse. I think a lot of this is some of the strategies that the state endorses, and is a lot of, stuff. And I think sometimes the best way to deal with substance abuses and addictions are one-to-one. And I think that we have plenty of other programs within town that could offer opportunities for actual getting, handing out Narcan and, just to prevent isn't gonna solve the problem. Yeah, you might prevent a couple of deaths and overdoses, but, ultimately, you need to get the person the help they need to say that, I'm sure there's, I'm definitely about keeping killing funds and what killing funds are, so. And if the other towns aren't willing to pony up, then, I really like the work that Luigi has done with the health department, but, unless the other towns in the region are, his proposal's not gonna go very far, so, I think holding on to our 29,000 that's left in there, maybe, and who knows how much more is gonna be coming into the opioid fund. Maybe by then, the other towns will come on board and we can revisit this, so.
Is there any other council comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion fails. I'd like to get a motion to accept the proposed pathway to Owenville Park from 550 Hartford Pike. Right.
So, 550 Hartford Pike's location of the new Starbucks Jersey Mike, the walk-in clinic was approved, I think sometime in 2025. The developer owner has come back to the town proposing a 4-foot wide pathway that would connect the rear of their parking lot to a parking lot area in Owenville Park. Because those improvements would be on town land, the Planning and Zoning Commission had to review that and decide, whether to make a recommendation on that. The town council has to then approve it based on whether they recommend it or not. They did recommend it, so it's in front of you. I think there's some outstanding questions about, what the intention is. Are they gonna maintain it, the whole thing? Do they expect us to maintain it? Are they giving us an easement? So I think they're here tonight to go over some of those questions, and we can decide if it's something we want to do. So I don't know who's here for that tonight. Okay. You can come up here.
My name's Victoria Ramirez. I'm from Solely Engineering. Is it working for you guys? Solely Engineering, the engineering professional for this site. Basically, the applicant, owner, developer will install and fund the path, but then it was their idea that it be maintained with like snow removal. Any portion on the town property be maintained by the town, and a portion on private property be maintained by the developer.
Go ahead.
I'm not in favor of the sidewalk. I know that they had wanted extra parking because there was not enough parking, and I know employees have been parking across the street, and they've been parking in Owen Bell. I think it's just an access in favor of the development, which I wasn't in favor of in the first place, and just more work for the town.
Any other comment, Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you only want one, huh? Not anymore. Good evening, Bucky Lobush, Parks and Rec Director. So just to address that comment, you are correct in the sense that they're using Owen Bell as a little bit of overflow parking. However, that pathway already exists. So there's no way to stop it. Is this going to be an improvement to the property is basically what it comes down to. I'm actually here tonight because I had one of my board members sent me a list of questions to ask the town council similar concerns. So that's why I'm here. I just wanted to address a few of those questions. Some of the questions can probably be answered by myself or even the town manager, but some of the questions are legit. Who is legally responsible if someone gets injured on the pathways? So that was one of the questions. Is there an indemnification agreement protecting taxpayers if the path crosses private property, which you guys just mentioned it? Will there be a written maintenance agreement and budget for maintenance? Is there a dedicated funding source? Will it fall into the general town budget or come from Parks and Recreation? Obviously, I could answer that. That would be from the Parks Department because we maintain the sidewalks along with Public Works. What will the hours of this pathway use be? It is possible this will invite after park hour use. As you know, Owen Bell opens at sunrise, closes at sunset. The caveat to that is obviously Ra-Ra's in the summertime closes at 9 o'clock, so it is just right at dark. Will there be signage? What are the costs of creating a sign indicating limited liability? Will this path invite park patrons to use business parking? Are there any ADA requirements for such a path? What materials will be used for the path? I would assume it would have been concrete walkway. And will this path have any environmental impact, stormwater drainage, erosion, impact on wetlands or vegetation? And then what are the usages, rules of this path? Walking only, bicycles, e-bikes, dogs, motorized vehicles. Obviously, it's right at the skate park. So the skate park abuts the pathway. So those were some of the concerns of our board member. I have a board meeting coming up Monday, so it is on our agenda. Again, it already exists. People are utilizing it. The only impact I see on Parks, Park and Rec is on, for example, if it were already there now, on the 26th, we have our fireworks. Obviously, we close that parking lot by 12 noon. So there would be no parking allowed in the upper parking lot. And I'm sure that there'd have to be some agreement with the group that's on the other side. So, other than that, weekends, as you know, parking is an issue at Owen Bell as far as the amount of use it gets on a beautiful day. I've been down there every weekend, just noticing that there is quite a bit of use. So, but at the same time, people are accessing back and forth and utilizing and coming from the parking lot from both sides, actually. So,
Tammy?
So my question is, so if they're utilizing it, it's a dirt pathway. So would that, by rights, create more of a liability, seeing most of that is on town property, if it's not?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody gets hurt on town property, like, that could be anywhere, it could be on a sidewalk. We don't, like, yes, we're liable, yes, they can
Well,
file a claim.
I'm thinking, would it be less likely to have
Yeah.
somebody get hurt on a cement even sidewalk, or possibly muddy or uneven
Right.
dirt path that's been basically worn?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if there's not a real path there now, then it's not a path for them to walk on, right? So if they trip and fall walking across the dirt, well, you could argue we're not liable because that's not a pathway we maintain. In general, even though we are liable on paper, we have what you might want to call sovereign immunity, right? So we really have to be neglectful in a deliberate way to be held responsible for somebody getting hurt on public property, to be found guilty, in a causal sense where we would have to pay something out. So it's kind of, I don't want to say it's moot, but it's really remote that we would be found financially responsible for somebody getting hurt, whether it's on a concrete sidewalk or whether it's them walking across, an area where there's not a pathway.
So since Harper Pike is a new development, that path didn't exist before because it would have been going into somebody's yard?
no, I meant that it exists, once that it was there, it's already worn from use, current use.
So
That's all I was saying.
It's not really an access, people just walk there.
There's
You're
always been
creating
an
ac-
opening.
You're creating an access.
Yeah, there's always been an opening there between, and people have found it easy to access now. Again, the only way you're gonna stop it is if to separate, and would be to put a fence up, but I don't think we wanna do that, to separate the two properties. So,
I'm just thinking, because when we were growing up in town, the hill area further down, like towards the back of the ball field, up on that hill, I mean, that was never a pathway, but people created pathways, walking, because there was just it was just a shortcut to get to KCS or to get to Owen Bell. People, I mean, they're gonna create it on public land, whether you want them to do it or not, but.
to be honest with you, the walkway is basically for the winter time. Because, I mean, it's going to continue to be accessed through good weather through all the way until we get to the winter. It's in the winter where it would be more difficult if there wasn't a sidewalk, because then and Brian and I talked about that today, the fact that whoever the contractor is that's cleaning their, not their sidewalks, but their parking lots, are going to be pushing that snow right along that area. So, there could be some higher amounts of snow when they're plowing. So that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the winter time and really removing the snow off the sidewalk to maintain the sidewalk access.
And that's my point of contention. Snow clearing over there. Back between the two storms, I counted 8 parking spaces were taken up because the snow, when I was reading all the language about snow removal in the approval process in the minutes of the P&Z meetings, the snow was to be pushed up over the top of the curb. Well, that never happened last year. In places where it should have been done, I don't know where they could go with it because there was bollards or whatnot for the charging stations, or on the backside, you have the sidewalk. So whatever would be plowed in that area, there should be a 6-foot or 8-foot mound of snow on the grass area, but most of the snow was in the sidewalk or on the pavement in front of the curb. If we made, well, just from that standpoint, they are not following the snow removal procedures or whatever. If they went in with a loader after the time, and, I would not be, I would see this a little bit, but if you have and you were just saying it's going to be used mostly in the wintertime. After the winter we had this year, the snow would have been so high, that would be more of a detriment than a help.
Yeah,
No,
people are gonna access it now, no matter what.
That's okay. If someone wants to climb a mountain of snow, they're on their own. Well, whatever. I don't know how anybody else feels.
The rec board needs to make recommendation anyways. Yeah.
Do you want this?
Yeah, they haven't come to us yet and presented anything, so I think,
Because, essentially, you're gonna be babysitting this, in a lack of better words.
well, it's a matter of, do we want to add a sidewalk that we're going to be maintaining when we're already, and correct me if I'm wrong, trying to remove
We don't.
removal of sidewalk snow
We're not
through the town.
responsible for their snow.
Right.
So, but if that amount of snow is there and it wasn't, the protocol for snow removal wasn't followed in the past, and then just comments, well, I'll leave it at that.
How long is this sidewalk, or potential sidewalk?
You might have the,
I don't have the exact measurement, but it's probably, I would say more like 75 feet in length.
75 feet?
Yeah, 75 or 80.
I think what Bucky was alluding to is we have a draft ordinance before the ordinance subcommittee to look at, for them to consider scaling back the level of sidewalk maintenance we do in the winter. I know that's a draft. The ordinance committee hasn't deliberated on that extensively, and they'll do so at some point in the probably coming weeks or month. And that may take multiple deliberations before it goes anywhere and then comes to the council, so.
So if you're looking for a sidewalk, basically in the wintertime, it's just gonna be somebody who's parking there and walking to that plaza, because otherwise walking on the dirt is fine, and it's just extra work.
I don't know, I'm kind of in the idea of the Owen Bell is a well-kept, clean park, and then if, to have the dirt path going between, if it was concrete, it would, I don't want to say dress it up, but it would look more appropriate. I did have a question, was listening, that they were gonna put it in initially, but what happens in 10, 15 years if it all breaks up and it's in need of being replaced is down the road in 15, 20 years?
I think the initial thought, again, was anything on the town property be repaired and replaced as needed by the town. I won't hold the client to that because I'm not 100% sure, but it could be up for discussion, you know. I see what you guys are saying. But yeah, we can discuss that with the client.
do we want to table this until we have, from Parks and Recs,
Recommendation.
yeah,
And maybe,
Second it.
and maybe some feedback from the develop, you know.
We have a motion and a second to
Table.
table, or I don't know if that's the word we want to do, or.
You don't take,
Delay it.
table a motion, tabling a motion is only appropriate in one single meeting. It's a motion to postpone or a motion
To
to.
another meeting.
Yeah, push.
Yeah,
it.
postpone, I think
Motion to
that,
postpone to another meeting.
that's, we want to postpone, and you, okay. So I have a motion and a second to postpone. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? The motion passes to postpone.
Thank you for coming.
All right, let's see. I'd like to get a motion to accept the resolution authorizing the revenue collector to suspend and transfer uncollectible taxes to the suspense tax book pursuant to Connecticut general statutes.
Second.
Discussion.
This is an item that comes up every year as we go through our tax accounts and recognize that certain accounts are uncollectible because the person cannot be reached. So we're asking you for accounting purposes to determine these accounts are uncollectible. It doesn't mean that the debts are forgiven or abated, they still owe the tax. If we find out for some reason that the tax does become collectible, we will collect it. And that's essentially it. Yeah.
What are we talking, 10%,
150,
5%?
it's $159,000, $159,000 of uncollectible accounts.
In the past years, we were able to collect it after a while?
Yes, so like so far this year, we've collected $23,000 of accounts that were previously determined to be uncollectible for accounting purposes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Council member reports. Adam, we'll start with you.
So I've only been to one of the Board of Ed meetings at the time. All that meeting was for was they were reallocating funds that they were originally going to the access road to put back into their non-lapsing, thank you, account to hold on to try to keep their funds available for them, as they call it. And they moved on that, so obviously at the town meeting, we talked about putting the $750 back in it to fund that road and find a more cost-effective alternative. We have another meeting tomorrow.
Tammy?
So, I went to Economic Development last week. I'm not one of the liaisons for the actual council, but I do go as a representative for the borough. Part of what Jill's the borough had when we had our ARPA funds and we were designating them, we had designated 100,000 of our ARPA funds for the Wi-Fi for the Brickyard area. That was always a concern. It's been brought up several times during economic development over the years for the need for a good Wi-Fi signal everything's, you know, people like to be able to get on the internet. So at Economic Development, Jill went over the trust fund. Right, the total balance right now is $318,120.01. The good chunk of that is dedicated to the Brickyard, which is what some of the sculptures have been paid for, the materials anyways. So the total available balance in the Economic Development Trust Fund is $15,908.45. The Brickyard is, the reason it's taken so long is we are now, I believe it's the 7th state supervisor to oversee this project. But this, apparently this last one is very motivated and wants it off her desk, as just like the rest. And to be frank and honest with you, there's a lot of ARPA money that's locked up into this, and we have to use it these projects have to be completed by by December 31st, so it's really imperative. There was a lot of discussion about the brownfield sites. Jill had actually talked about a lot of this last week. The old borough plant was there was some discussion about what that could possibly be redeveloped as, which one of the things I don't think I've ever heard him bring it up, but I know there was there's a lot of indigenous history around the indigenous people in that area. And they were actually a suggestion of bringing some kind of park to make note of and recognize the importance of the indigenous people in this area. There was some discussion about some of the billboards. I guess there's a old billboard that hasn't been activated, and there was some discussion about investigating whether we can reactivate it. I guess it has the Laurel House is written on it. There was some discussion about use for Alexander Parkway, and basically that whoever goes in there to use that is going to need power, water, and sewer that they're going to have to supply or pay to have it brought out to that area. And then there was some extensive discussion about the WPCA, the real need, loosening of the capacities and how much that's going to be able to benefit economic development. Other than that, I don't think historic district, we didn't have that. That was last month, right?
No, I thought it was last month. Well, it would have been in this month's report when they approved those windows to be repaired at the Old Kinley Grange. I think that was the majority of what they went over.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then just a lot, there's a lot of discussion. There's gonna be a lot of activities in the next couple months, I know, with the 250th. I'm actually part of one of the DAR chapters, and so there's some really interesting things and activities for people to be able to participate in. So other than that, the borough, between the borough and the budget and work, I've been a very, very, very busy person. And somebody asked me if I'm ever at home, and my dog would probably tell you, no, she's not. And but I'm hoping it lets up soon. So.
Kevin.
Brian covered most of the permanent building committee happenings that's been going on, and as I just mentioned with Tammy, the historic district approved an item to repair the windows at the Old Kinley Grange to keep them in their historic character. That's it.
Okay. Dave?
I haven't been to a health department meeting because they haven't held any in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't been to the health department because they haven't had any meetings, so. I went to the planning and zoning and listened to the presentations on the warehouses. I'm very concerned about the private contractors going in there. I don't understand how you can have that many accessing the material and bringing it out. I know one thing, I don't particularly like to have a unidentified vehicle show up in my yard delivering things, so. I hope they spell out what that means, private contractors delivering things, and what hours are they gonna deliver it? Is that just gonna be more congestion? So I haven't heard that yet.
Ula?
I'm gonna piggyback off of the planning and zoning, and in regards to the private contractors, Amazon has 24-hour delivering, so that will add to the congestion, add to the disruptions at night. In regards to the traffic study, they did not do an east to west study. They said that that traffic would be negligible, although that's probably where employees, the 530 cars will be traveling. They didn't disclose that they were going to have the private contractors hired. They talked about their noise study, but they based it on the industrial numbers. That is not an industrial site. And a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of very angry people. They did treat us as if we were unintelligible, the way they spoke to us. But aside from the planning and zoning meeting, I attended Inland Wetlands Watercourse, but I'll let Mr. Cessalini talk about that. The Housing Authority, they had a special meeting, so I didn't attend that because it was executive session, and I attended the planning and zoning workshop, and tomorrow is zoning board of appeal meeting. They haven't had one for quite a while.
You go to that?
Jonathan?
Went to IWWC last night. The biggest thing on the agenda was the continuing public hearing for the Amazon plant. They're at the stage where they're communicating between the third-party reviewer and their people and presenting answers. There's another meeting in early June, and I believe they want to have things wrapped up by about July, if I remember from the proposed timeline. But yeah, it was a pretty packed house, and there were a lot of speakers against Amazon.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I forgot, I think everybody received the emails in regards to, there were two emails in regards to criminal activity on Water Street, and I knew this would come up. They're asking for cameras, so can we add that onto next month's agenda item to discuss? And I would like to see a non-binding question in November on the ballot about, I don't have the exact wording of where we would stand on warehouses, because it's only been opposition, and the only people in favor of the warehouses are the ones who were profiting off the sale of their property, but everybody else, every part of the town, they're all concerned and against it. So I would like to see a non-binding question on November's ballot.
And the sewer authority, well, town manager's already talked about that. We read Frito-Lay, and we got a little issue with that. I haven't been to conservation because we've always had other town council meetings at the same time. One other item that the town manager brought up, Adam, would you be amenable to be a member on the ordinance subcommittee?
Yes, but I don't believe they had a meeting yet, have they?
They don't, it's not.
Right, it's only when there's
It's
required.
very seldom.
Yeah.
And then,
We have a good time.
There's only three of us.
I recommend joining.
Yes,
It's probably the best subcommittee in town.
It's very seldom, but there's several ordinances in the
I don't know,
pipeline.
solid waste, I think we could trump that.
I see you.
and if you would also entertain to be liaison to the vision committee, I don't know if that would be something you might.
Just gotta watch out, because I remember the last time they had a meeting, it was the same exact time as the Board of Ed,
I think they do meet on Wednesdays,
which is the same time.
same time as
Okay.
Board of Ed.
All right, I'll have to, so we'll, for this, for the purpose of this, you'll handle the, oh,
Vision's the last Wednesday of every month, and Board of Ed just got rid of their second meeting every month. They're only doing, that's what I was told by Sue's assistant. They're only doing that second Wednesday of the month.
Can you just send me on the calendar? so I can
Yes,
see that?
yes.
well, I guess temporarily I could,
Got anything else? Come on.
that's it, that's it. Well, you wanted to
Maybe
come
they
on.
had special meetings that were the same.
It's like chips. Can we have chips for every one of them? I see you and I raise another chip.
So we have no executive session. I'll entertain motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?